Hello, and welcome to the Grandin Podcast.
First Draft Films from Indie to Hollywood. Today we have a very fun topic, technology and other fun stuff. And we have here Sky, also known as Skyler Young. He has quite an extensive background in technology and other fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But before we delve into that too deeply, we're going to start with our Grandin Quick Fact. And my quick fact is that I'm about to leave on an epic vacation, and we are about to have a short break in recording. So when I come back in the next episode, I may be a little more tan.
Oh.
Lucky. I will still be a ghost. My quick fact is that I like fog, and it has been foggy today.
Oh, yeah. All right. My quick fact is that you can buy Tokyo grade sushi for a third of the price in Taipei.
Oh.
So go to Taiwan. It's cheap and beautiful and so good.
But that is not where you're going on vacation.
No.
Maybe in the future.
Hopefully. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Taiwan is like the unexpected gem. When we traveled, we were like, wow, I never heard anybody tell me to go here, but now I tell everybody they have to go there.
Nice.
Yeah.
We'll keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Taiwan. Mm-hmm. So we like to start off with what are we working on? What are we watching? Kate and I are still working on the same old that we've been working on for a little while, but progress is being made slowly, very slowly. We'll just leave it at that. What are you up to these days, Sky?
All right. Well, I am attempting to get most of the states into my startup with community resource data, mostly like 211s and other information referral systems.
Yeah.
And we ended October with like 7 states, and we have another 7 as of like 2 days ago.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Congratulations.
So we're like getting discovered and kind of taking off a little bit. I hope we
Yeah.
keep this up.
Mm-hmm.
The growth might kill us, but if it doesn't, we're going to be great. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
epic.
211 is what people can go to find what?
yeah, so literally anywhere in the U.S. or the Commonwealth nations, you can whip out your phone, dial 211, and a local call center anywhere in the world is going to answer and be like, how can I help you? And this is like 911 for non-emergencies.
Okay.
So 911 is like, my house is on fire. I found a baby in the road. You know, like this kind of stuff. 211 is like, I'm a single mom and I'm having a hard time affording food. Like, how do I get signed up for WIC?
That's awesome.
And, you know, or just like, I don't even know what to do. And they'll tell you that you need to go sign up for WIC.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's really cool.
That is really cool. I didn't even know such a thing existed until I met you.
Yeah.
Way back when.
It's not as well marketed as I wish it would be because they're always like chronically underfunded.
Yeah.
It's very expensive to pay a whole bunch of staff to run call centers, and legislatures and nonprofits and grantors it just doesn't sound like the thing you should be spending money on in the computer age. They're like, we want to pay for AI. And we're like, AI doesn't know about the food bank down the road, guys. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Like, but that call center person who lives here does.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. So you're working on websites, right, for those 211s?
yeah, we think of it as it's actually more of a search engine. We created some open source software. It's much more specialized than just a website. And it's called a resource directory. It's a search engine for very specialized resources like community resources.
Nice. So if I were to go to Google right now and type in 211, would your search engine pop up?
What would probably happen is you would find, you'd be like 211 Washington or something, and you would immediately find Washington 211. Nice. We have a statewide one. And if you go to their website, that's our website. And if you click on like find help, that's our search engine. So
Okay.
yeah. In this case, we built both of them because
Yeah.
the director of that 211 lives here in Yakima. So
Awesome.
Wow.
So the statewide system is actually headquartered here in Yakima.
That's really fun.
It is cool. It's very cool.
Yeah. What's next on our, what are we watching?
Yes.
Yeah.
You and I are still watching Alchemy of Souls.
We are so close. We have one more episode in
the
the
whole
whole
show.
show. It's amazing. We say that every time. What are you watching right now? Or what have you watched recently?
We were watching Silicon Valley,
Ooh.
which is too real to be funny.
Oh, no.
And I you know what? Heather is a super Grinch about movies and TV. So she's
I've
kind of
noticed.
she's kind of over it. And I was raised on like black and white films. Like I'm a classic nerd. So I don't really know anything past the 70s super well. And I think we decided to give up and just build puzzles together for a while. So.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. What's your favorite classic movie?
Oh, God. There's so many good films.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, my my traditional top three, I haven't updated this in a while, but for a lot of my life have been like Conspiracy Theory and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and Gladiator, Shawshank Redemption. I really liked Dark Knight when it came out. So these are all newer. If you dip back into the classicals, God, virtually anything with Jimmy Stewart. Losing their names now. It's been so long. I really like Gregory Peck's. The Black and the Scarlet, or is it the Scarlet and the Black? That is an unbelievable classic. You've got to watch that.
I have not seen that
I'm
one.
not up on my classics the way I should be.
Gregory Peck plays a cardinal in the Vatican during World War II Nazi invasion.
Oh, wow.
He ran an underground operation. This is based on...
Wow.
Actually, I don't think it's based on true events, but not an actual person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds epic.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I would say that's a good one. Sergeant York is a super classic. That's Gary Cooper. Another Gary Cooper one that is just gut-wrenching and so good is called Friendly Persuasion. It's about a Quaker family in the Civil War wrestling with, like, do we get involved, do we not? Like the ethics and morals of pacifism versus trying to do something, for the moral good. And also, I would say one of the other best classics comes from the same period and on the same topic. It's Jimmy Stewart, and it's called Shenandoah.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
Oh, you will cry. Oh, man, it is so good. Anyway, so there we go. There's a few.
Nice. Love it. Yeah, well, let's dive into our technology and other fun stuff.
Okay.
You've told us a little bit about your time as an animator, was it?
Yeah, so 2009, 52 weeks, not quite a full year. I didn't last quite a full year in Hollywood.
Isn't 52 weeks a year?
Okay, so 50 weeks. It was 2 weeks shy of a year.
Okay.
I was thinking a deck of cards in 54. Yeah, so I spent like 2009, 2010
Nice.
down in LA.
Sorry.
I don't regret it. I just am glad I didn't stay there.
Oh, yeah.
A friend of the family was running a small production company called Diesel FX. His name was Elliot. And his uncle was somebody I worked for up here in Washington doing, contract, like construction work.
Yeah.
But he caught wind of the fact that I had like bought myself Pro Tools and just taught myself how to produce music. He was like, well, I don't know. Can you like teach yourself how to do 3D animation? I was like, probably. So I like started messing around with it, and then they hired me on down there as an intern and just taught me the ropes. I learned rotoscoping, of course, because that's what interns have to do. It sucks. 3ds Max, a little bit of Maya, After Effects, a lot of After Effects for 2D comping and effects. I didn't get as much into the editing side, so not a lot of whatever Apple's thing for that is. Not Logic, but anyway. Final Cut, yeah, that's it.
Duh.
It was a thing then too, and everybody was using it. I was like, I never did.
That's what I was trained on.
I wasn't the editor. I was just the effects guy.
That's like the one of the popular ones that I've never used.
It's kind of the same as the others.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Like, I've used Final Cut, Premiere, and DaVinci, and DaVinci is by far my favorite just for the scope of what it can do easily. Premiere may or may not be a little more detailed, but it's not, in my opinion, as easy to just jump on without hardly knowing anything,
So I have not tracked the story between these 2 points at all. But I was staggered to find out that DaVinci by Blackmagic is like free on the web now. Because when I signed up for this company in LA back in like 2009, he had just invested tens of thousands of dollars on like Blackmagic's custom built production computer for stuff.
Wow.
And it was within 2 years, it was obsolete.
Oh, wow.
We were only spending a few $1,000s on like beefed up Macs and homemade server farms to reproduce all the same stuff.
Wow.
Like it was kind of a huge loss for him, really. I don't think he ever got recouped his money on that one.
Yeah, that's kind of a big thing, is just how fast technology has come, has drastically changed, I mean, pretty much every industry, but especially you think of like the arts and what's happening with AI right now. Like, that's only been out for what, a year? Has it been a year or has it been 2?
What?
Like ChatGPT.
Oh no, I mean the AI has been around for many years.
Yeah, but hitting the mainstream
hit the big time like a year ago.
All those strikes in Hollywood and all that because of it.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things we wanted to get your opinions on, is like this evolution of technology just over the last 2 decades, like, and how much it has evolved creativity and film, or like your line of work is more coding, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm no Neil Tyson deGrasse here, but I'll give a few opinions out there. I don't know. Actually, I've been a little bit of a counter technology guy inside technology, kind of anti Silicon Valley, very pro people and relationships. I'm like, what are we doing all of this for?
Yeah, that's a great question.
If it's not for people at the core of it, then I mean, it's all kind of worthless.
Yeah.
Are the robots going to take over? Like, no, probably not. Like, we would just EMP the world or something. Like,
Yeah.
we don't care. I mean, why would we do that? We wouldn't allow ourselves to be taken over. And what would be the point of all that anyway? Like, humans just aren't signed up for that. At the end of the day, really, just a nice conversation with a real human is more valuable.
Yeah.
And I think people ultimately get pushed into that, or they kill themselves. There's a reason suicide is so high. I mean, I'm sorry to be controversial, but like, a disconnected life is not a high quality life.
Yeah.
So.
Humans are wired to need other humans.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at Adam and Eve. It was not good until Eve was there with Adam.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's a big like theological point in that.
Yeah.
I was really influenced by a company called And Yet down in Tri-Cities. When I moved up here, they were running events, conferences in Tri-Cities that were cultural. They were merging arts and technology. It was very people-centric. Heather she worked there for a while, my wife, and she has a T-shirt that says "People First." That was like their motto. I was very influenced by this.
Yeah. I can
So.
see why.
Yeah, it's
like
good.
it's like you said, like that's the whole point of anything is people.
Right. So they used marketing and technology largely to tell stories, whether it was for a business, a startup, a production, or just a person.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, this is cool. This has a human-centered focus. This is to enrich people's lives with stories, which is what we love. I mean,
Yeah.
all of humanity for all of time has loved stories. So, that's a good use of technology.
Definitely. What, in your opinion, are some bad uses of technology nowadays?
AI that, just generates endless amounts of highly customized pornography is probably going to be the end of a huge swath of the male species. I mean, let's be real about this. That's what's happening right now.
Yep.
I could just get lost in that world on my smartphone, and a lot of guys are, and it hasn't quite hit the stats yet because it's just so new, but it is wildfire out there.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be crazy. So, yeah. We have that to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems like for every good technological advancement, there has been an equal negative or usage of said advancement.
This doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Everything can be used for good or bad. Period. I mean, we tend to try to imbue objects with innate morality, and morality originates and ends with us.
Yeah.
And how we use everything around us. So, yeah, I mean, everything can be used for good or bad.
Yeah. What took you from animator to website designer to getting almost half the United States under your belt?
Almost half, almost a quarter.
Almost a quarter.
Right there yet. I think I started my first business. My mom made me start my first business when I was like 12.
Good for
And
her.
Yeah.
right, she convinced me that I could do anything and be anything. And I was just like, sure, you're right. So then I started an actual business by investing Christmas money in a lawnmower and getting hired by project developers in our neighborhood, and made 6 times that investment back over the summer. And I was like 14.
Nice.
So I think that's really where it kind of started. After that, I was hooked. I was like,
Yeah.
you can just do just stuff and make money. You know,
Technology and other stuff.
yeah. Well, so we had to finish high school, all that stuff. I wasn't exactly excited about college. I don't like school. I love learning, which is critical. But
Yeah.
I didn't particularly love school. I felt like that was always kind of restrictive.
School isn't always conducive to learning.
No, well, I was homeschooled K through 12.
Oh, nice.
So my whole experience growing up was you get your school done in the morning and play. You do whatever you want to for the rest of the day.
yeah.
Yep.
So, and then in high school, my mom was like, Trigga, what? So, that wasn't her high school experience or even college experience. So I learned how to more or less teach myself trigonometry, at least. And so that taught me how to learn, how to, self-guided learning, which is critical. And I actually credit that single thing more than anything else with the reason I own and run a business.
Wow.
Because, that has just been nothing but a fire hose of challenges to learn and solve through. And I picked that up in high school. So after that, I don't know, guys, I have done so much stuff. I've moved over 30 times.
Wow.
I have visited 21 or 22 countries, I think. And I've I think I've worked in probably 14 businesses. give or take, and I've owned maybe 7 of them. So it's been a very iterative process.
Yeah.
Very, very iterative. In 2010, I left LA because I was fed up, and just with lots of things. Moved back north, and my whole family ended up relocating here to Yakima in early spring 2011. And I had started my website business. I had started dabbling in websites in LA just to make a little cash on the side. And I launched that business just before we moved here.
I must say it's kind of funny. I just dabbled in websites.
HTML, CSS. If you're going to start doing programming, that stuff is so easy. It's crazy.
I mean, that's like totally over my head. Like, I have a totally different skill set, and hearing just HT whatever's like in one ear and out the other.
Yeah, that's what your website pages are made out of.
Mm-hmm.
So I started dabbling in this, and I loved it. So I started the website business. In the first year I was here in Yakima, actually, I had 7 gigs going in that one year.
Whoa.
It was a case of, I was salesperson in a couple things. I did some MLMs because everybody does MLMs eventually. I did, and I started a garage cleaning business with my mom, and that became actually a big deal. It turned into the largest estate sale business in the valley that she ran for a while because I got busy with the websites and just focused on that one for the next, till now. Eventually, my experience there allowed me to get hired on at a hospital software company in marketing. And they also agreed to give me a path into pure development, just application development, which they did after about 18 months.
Application development as in like phones?
Actual
phone apps?
programmer.
Oh,
Yeah, actual
wow.
programmer. Instead of just like HTML and stuff, which is pretty lightweight web technology, they put me in application development.
Nice.
So I started as a junior dev, and by the time I left, I was just a normal dev. I'd made it past the junior stage. Barely. And... But throughout all of this, that website company kept going on the side. Kept going. In 2015, I brought on Leah Lakey, who has continued to be my partner and manager in all of our fiascos with websites. And so she ran it while I was working at Vitalware. And when I quit in 2018 to travel the world with my wife, she kept running it while I was gone. And actually, that business took off. So I had intended to come back and just get hired again and keep making a great salary. But we decided to take a big gamble, a huge gamble, and run that one. And then within, it was about 2 years after getting back from that, a spinoff, which has become the software company for search engines, started because, one of our clients, the director of Washington 211 was like, there's a huge hole in the market. We cannot find someone to solve this need. I'm fed up. I was a consultant who helped them try to hire other people to do the job, and it all just failed. So eventually he was like, look, there's nothing else. Please solve this. I will go to bat for you and help you get started. We'll fund you as best we can. COVID happened, which actually gave 211 a ton of money, and they were able to keep us floating with that a little bit.
How did they get that money? Was it like government?
Yeah.
Nice.
They were the primary, they were the frontline information dissemination group for Washington State for COVID stuff.
Oh.
So you would call 211 to figure out where to get your COVID shots and where the nearest clinic was and all this kind of stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, all of that, kind of worked in our favor, actually, and we stayed alive. And we have just always been one step ahead of completely going bankrupt. I mean, we've put a lot on the line. The investment between lost revenue and debt right now for me is approaching $500,000. Wow. Which is steep. Scary for my wife, let me tell you. She's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks, it's very encouraging at this moment. It looks like we're going to make it pretty spectacularly, actually. So
Yeah.
praise
that's
God for
awesome.
that, guys. I'll tell you.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
It's been one heck of a journey.
Yeah. So in addition to your faith, what would you attribute this like just inching off of failure, like essentially success? What would you attribute that to? Hard work or consistency, tenacity, timing,
Being
luck?
stubborn.
Stubbornness.
Yeah, just stubborn. I don't have a whole lot going for me, to be honest. I know I'm serious. People have tended to think that I'm really smart. No, I'm serious. I'm serious. People always think I'm really smart. And I'm like, I'm moderately intelligent. If we're being honest here, like in terms of IQ, like my wife is radically higher IQ. Like if someone's trying to communicate a very difficult topic, she just immediately grasps it, right? She's just clicking. She's asking questions, and they haven't even finished talking. and I have to sit there for a while and really think it through, and that's just been my whole life. You know, some people just fly, and I have to work until 2 a.m. to make it work. But I'm willing to do it, so.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've actually heard that a lot of like, you don't have to be the smartest or the best. You just have to be willing to do it.
Just don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing early on that I thought was like, all right, well, I'm constantly looking like a failure. But have I really failed if I haven't given up? It's kind of like when you invest stocks and the market goes down and everybody's like, oh my God, I lost a bunch of money. I'm like, well, did you sell? Because if you haven't sold, that's not a realized loss, is it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the mistake people make, is they see the market go down and then they internalize the identity of loser.
Yeah.
And then they sell it off while it's down, and that cements that identity.
Yeah.
That's just silly.
Yeah. The same thing happens like, first thing that comes to mind is the film industry, of course. But actors, you know, you hear stories about, I forget which big name, might have been Johnny Depp or something. You know, they went so many years, like 3, 4, 5 years without like any gigs, and they're like just about to give up. And so many people do at that point, but it's the people who don't that make it big.
It's a thin margin between failure and success. It's a really thin line.
Yeah, and it's we know from experience, it's not fun being in that like not quite there yet stage. It's like, well, I guess we're just gonna keep going. But
especially when you're creating something, right? Like I have been in that stage now, just in this one business line, starting in 2011 with the websites. It just is a clean movement right into where we are now. You know, for over a decade, right? Wow. I have never paid myself more than $30K a year for that whole time.
Wow.
Paid myself. Now, I was able to go make really good money working for somebody else. And this is partly why people don't step out and be creators. It's relatively easy to take like less effort than you were spending on your own thing and go get paid pretty well if you're disciplined and just willing to put in the work, right?
Yeah.
Like you can do that. It takes so much more, unless you're just lucky. It takes so much more to accomplish the same level of like income stream or something for something that you own.
Yeah.
Or have created or is new or whatever you're pioneering, right? So it is hard.
Yeah. And it's really not about the money. You know,
no,
you really got to believe in something else. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So what is it for you about the websites and the 2-on-1s that really drives you when the money's not good?
The knowledge that the money will be good someday and I will own it. And the fact that we're actually doing good for the world. I could talk about some of the tactics that we take that really sets us apart. We're like very missionally focused in this company. So I would say one of the main things that drives me is a win-win. I want to be very rich. And I want to do that by taking the path of win-wins and enriching everyone around me along the way. And I would say that's also very tricky. Situationally, it's easier to backstab people and get ahead and do well.
Yeah.
You know, or build yourself up and just make that one backroom deal, and just cinch it.
Yeah.
And it's harder to do a win-win all the way through and really make that stick. We've had to eat a lot of losses to uphold my identity of integrity. But we're still going to be really rich. We're going to do quite fine in the long run. And we have, I think we're in a small way, but a meaningful way, kind of revolutionizing the industry that we're working in. And I like that. That's going to be a good legacy.
Yeah, definitely.
I have a kind of a tangent of that. So one thing that I've heard a lot of specifically filmmakers say is they're like, why would you start a business? You don't want to well, I don't exactly know their line of reasoning, but I remember talking to you at church, and I was like, I want to start doing film, but blah, 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 blah. And you're like, why would you not want to make money? Just make an LLC. And you like spat facts at me for like 5 minutes. I was like, okay, got it. Maybe it was 5 seconds, but a lot of people have this mindset of like, it's bad if you want to make money, or it's at art, or it's bad if you
bullshit.
Want to. And I don't know their reasoning, but like, why would you want to make money other than you wanting to make money? Like, what's the counter argument to that?
What does money represent?
Resources, time,
time and resources, leverage.
Yeah.
Leverage, influence, power, which are the agents for change.
Yeah.
Money represents whatever you want it to represent. It's a tool.
It's
a blank asset that you get to divide however you want, and the only cost is the amount of time you put in to get it.
So for me, when I say money, and I've had this philosophical conversation with everybody from my best friend to like pastors, right? Because they're like, you just want money. I'm like, what do you think I'm saying when I say that? Because they hear that and they make up stories about that desire, and they're like,
Oh yeah.
you're greedy. You will, walk over corpses to get it. It's sinful. You can't go to heaven if you're rich. It's just like all kinds of wild stories. I'm like, what do you think my story is for? It's just shorthand for I want to do lots of stuff. I already do lots of stuff. I can do even more and cooler stuff if I have more resources.
Yeah.
I mean, what really drives me is that from my earliest age, my dad never got to spend a lot of time at home. Like mom and the kids were at home, homeschooling, honestly having a great time. I enjoyed my childhood. And dad was never there. He was working like a slave to keep a roof over our heads. And I bless him for that.
Yeah.
But he always wanted to spend more time with us. And mom really wanted him to spend more time with us.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, you should probably be wealthy enough that you can spend time with your kids.
Yeah.
And get your wife like a maid to help around the house so that she's not just bogged down trying to do all the homeschooling and the cleaning stuff. So I was just like, all right, it takes a certain threshold of resources to really spend time with your family and be able to travel and do some field trips. Another formative experience, I was in a homeschool co-op in a wealthy part of the state as a poor kid. And I think I was like 14 again. I was helping with a small class. It was like 2 to 5 year olds, so preschool stuff. And there was this kid, Matthew Majewski. I remember him very vividly. He was a 5-year-old. He was a precocious, like 4 or 5-year-old. And some of the 5-year-olds couldn't read, couldn't talk hardly. I mean, they're getting there, but they're just, kind of being little kids. Matthew Majewski, we're looking through picture books, of like exotic birds. And he's like, oh yeah, I saw that in South America last year, right? Like he was very cognitively awake and aware and very versant. And
That makes sense if you'd traveled.
well, he knew more about the world than I did.
Wow.
And I'm looking at this kid going like, oh, and I said to myself, my personal education, I don't consider myself graduated from high school until I've traveled the world too, which I eventually accomplished when I was like almost 30. Nice. And traveled like a good chunk of the world. And that was a big bucket list item for me. But that takes resources. His parents are quite well off, and his dad is a traveling businessman, if I remember correctly. So, of course, they traveled. I mean, part of it was for business and part of it was for fun, but that was not just, staying in the Marina Bay Sands for the fun of it. No, that was like getting off into the boondocks in South America and really learning some stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's an education I want, and I want that for my kids.
Yeah.
Now, tell me that's a bad thing.
Not at all.
Nope.
Like, he has way more built-in capital as a human being to go do stuff than most people. And I kind of feel like God appreciates useful tools.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
this sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah. I think the argument I've heard some people make, which I at this point don't really agree with, is that if you turn the thing that you love and your art into like a job, well, people say do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. But people also say the opposite. They're like, if you do that, then it'll turn into a chore and you'll hate it if you're
Oh,
making
yeah, I've heard
money
that.
off of
Like
it.
the same people will say the same thing. They'll say the first one of like, yeah, you'll never work a day in your life if you do what you love. And then as soon as you start doing what you love, they're like, oh, you're going to hate it.
So here's what I've witnessed from both sides and from being in close company with very rich and very poor people. Money can rule your life if you're very rich or very poor.
Yeah.
And I have seen it rule the lives of more poor people than rich people.
Yep.
Because they're just constantly reacting against it. I guess I don't need to say a whole lot more. Like that's what I've witnessed.
No, yeah. I mean, if you're constantly struggling to just make ends meet, you're never going to get on top of that and have financial freedom.
Dude, my grandmother was a miser, and she just incessantly talked about money. And she was like, money is the root of all evil. And then she just talked about it all the time.
Oh
Oof.
my gosh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, and I grew up and I reflected on it. I was like, you're a slave to mammon. Just as much as whatever, assumed rich dude you're complaining about at any given time. So how does this work?
Yeah.
It's not the amount that you have, it's the attitude you have about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there any piece of wisdom that you want to impart in relation to, I don't know, small business or like how to watch a good movie or
With homemade popcorn and brewer's yeast and
Ooh.
slightly browned butter.
Ooh.
Oh, yum.
Yeah, toss it all together.
Do I need? Oh, okay. I was about to say, do I need to mix these things,
Yeah,
or
you
should I
sure
just
do.
get a spoon?
Just a spoon for the birdies, but no.
Yeah.
I would also add to that with some guacamole that you made and also hot cocoa. Fun fact
Yes.
for the audience, Sky makes
Yeah.
the best hot cocoa and the best guacamole,
Yep.
hands down, that I've ever experienced.
Oh, you know what my kick is now?
What?
Scrambled eggs.
Oh, yeah.
I've been like
Ooh.
perfecting the art of making unburned, perfectly cooked eggs that don't leave any stickiness in the pan.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Like,
But are they also fluffy?
Yeah.
Nice.
no, they're so delicious.
Outro question before.
Mm-hmm.
So, appropriately, with you being a world traveler, the question we have for the table and the room and the audience is, where would you like to travel to next?
We want to go back to Taiwan and Thailand. We actually had another trip to Thailand booked, and then the shutdown happened.
Oh, right.
So we just kind of had to let it go. We've got some good connections in Thailand. It's just so
Mm-hmm.
someplace we haven't been. We'd like to go visit Vietnam in particular, like Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia. We've heard such good things about those countries.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that'd be next.
Mm-hmm. Those are good travel plans.
Where we're actually going is probably going to be South America.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah, we're kind of looking at definitely Ecuador, maybe back to Argentina,
Mm-hmm.
Peru, Chile have been on the books.
Yeah.
We'd like to explore that because it's similar time zones, so it's not quite the harshest adjustment for our
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the thought.
Nice. That's super cool. How long do you like to take those vacations? Like a month or a week or?
Heather's thing on this is that she would like. I'm kind of flexible, but she'd like to be there for at least 2 or 3 months
Oh, wow.
to let the kids get immersed and learn Spanish.
Oh, nice.
Love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do it while they're young, and it becomes
Yeah.
really easy
Yeah.
for them to be
Yep.
dual linguists.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
That is really exciting. Lots of travel plans.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plans, I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, work.
Yep.
Lots of work.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. What about you?
Ooh, short term, I want to go back to New York City with you, Brooke. I was there last year for a brief stint, very brief, but it was a ton of fun. And I was there for 4 days. I wouldn't want to be there for much longer than 4 days, just because it's so hectic
Mm-hmm.
and it's just so loud. And there's just, I mean, this is a city that never sleeps, right? It's
Yeah.
just chaos all the time. But it's fun to be there for like a little bit. And I barely scratched the surface of things to do there. So I want to take you there, and I want us to go to a bunch of shows, and that would be fun.
Yes.
But long term, the place that I've always wanted to go to has been England, specifically. Anywhere in the British Isles would be great, but England
Scotland.
specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know as much about Scotland, though. I know so much about British history. I want to go experience the history that I already know, and then branch out.
Americans just fit in so well with Scotch.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They're like us. We
Like-
come from them.
Like, how so?
Loud, into sports. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like you walk into a bar and all
Yeah.
the men are just standing around like, rah, rah, rah,
Yeah.
trying to drink
I mean,
and drinking
yelling,
glasses.
Weren't
Yeah.
there a
boobs,
ton of like,
camaraderie.
yeah, weren't there a ton of Irish and Scottish immigrants way back when?
Little known fact. Okay. I didn't know this. It took some real research to run this down. America owes most of its political and philosophical ideological roots specifically to Scotland, not to England. Okay? There's a thing called the Scottish Enlightenment, which stands maybe sort of opposed, not really intentionally, but maybe, as contrasted against, let's say, the European Enlightenment, the broader Enlightenment that you've heard about. And this comes about because the Scotch were like the Protestants, Presbyterians more or less, I think, but definitely Protestants. They had a big ethic on education. So Scotland had something like 4 or 6 universities where the whole rest of England had one,
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
right? In like the 1600s. They had universal male suffrage for education before anybody else in Europe, as far as I think that's anybody in Europe. So they were educating all of their kids at these schools. And a lot of those professors and their students ended up becoming the professors here at the universities in America.
Wow.
And like a lot of them. And they were teaching Scottish Enlightenment philosophy, right? Adam Smith and David Hume and
Right.
the ideas around property rights and you own your own labor and all this kind of stuff that came from the Scottish Enlightenment, transplanted here. And in addition to that, right, we were part of the colonial system under England, which usually in Europe that meant you officially are only supposed to trade with certain ports back in Europe. So, for example, all of our tobacco exports didn't go to Europe; they went to, I believe it was Edinburgh. So they went to Scotland. They were one of our main trade partners too. So we actually had this really tightly coupled relationship with Scotland. They exported a ton of their ideas over here and educated all of our forefathers who went on to have the revolution.
Nice.
So
Wow.
when you know that and you go visit Scotland, you'll suddenly be not so surprised that we just kind of grok really well.
Yeah.
Nice.
That is awesome. Now I want to go visit Scotland even more than I already did.
It's fun. It's so beautiful.
Oh, my grandma and my aunt went there a while back, and oh my goodness, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes.
Yes.
We road tripped from Edinburgh up to Inverness and then down the west coast back to Glasgow
Nice.
before taking a train to London and then flying home. And that road trip, the Scottish Highlands really are breathtaking. It is one of the prettiest places we've been. It's right up there with like New Zealand. It's one of the prettiest places on earth.
Wow.
But in such a rugged way. Yeah, I love it.
How about you, Brooke?
Oh,
Were
yes.
you going to say Scotland?
Travel plans. Well, it's been on my bucket list for as long as I can remember to do a tour of Europe, like many months long, get all the history I can, stay in the castles, you know?
Yes.
That is like probably top of my travel bucket list. And then second,
Castles.
very close second, is New Zealand, specifically where they filmed like Lord of the Rings.
South Isle. mostly.
Yeah.
Hobbiton is up north, but most of the like Rohan and the mountains.
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything
I would
is
want to
South
see
Isle.
all of it. I want to go to Hobbiton.
My
I
dad
wanna do
used to
all the
live in
things.
New Zealand, but this was well before they filmed any Lord of the Rings. so,
Seriously?
yeah.
Wow.
For how long?
I don't remember, but we were just talking today. He came over and we were talking about accents, and he said, I was saying Scottish and Irish accents, like I can't tell the difference, but people who are more familiar with them can. He's like, oh yeah, like with the Aussies and the Kiwis. I was like,
Yeah.
right, you could tell, right? He's like, well, that was like 40 years ago, but he did. He
Wow.
was he did orcharding there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's our longest stint was about a month there with Faith and Taylor Oldman
Mm.
because
Nice.
right Taylor's parents run that fruit business.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Fruit,
I think
fruit
it's
sorting machines,
especially cherries.
especially cherries.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
And
they were-
cherries are huge down there because they grow really well in New Zealand.
Yeah.
In addition to specifically the Columbia Basin.
Dude, Otago, which is that region where they were at, where we were at, it looks like Yakima.
Yeah. It's like
Wow.
the same latitude but opposite.
Opposite,
right?
yeah. But then it has
Yeah.
weirdly
So
like you're
interesting.
driving along through these valleys that look pretty much a lot like Yakima, but then the weirdest thing happens. You'll see a splash of like Irish green just cut, boom, like a cleft down through the hills. And it's like a waterfall coming from God knows where.
Whoa.
And it creates like a little tropical climate just inside this cleft. And there's like a
Wow.
bunch of them.
That
and
sounds beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Audience, let us know where you would love to travel to most. We'll put a little question thing in there. And I think that's all for tonight.
Yeah.
So God
Thank
bless.
you.
And thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
for-
Thank you guys. This was fun.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're welcome. All right. Bye, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye.